The drilling is one of, if not the most versatile weapon in Hunt Showdown. With its two firing modes, it has you covered at close range, medium range,
Oh no, I didn't
Got
see
one.
it.
and even long range. Though the low muzzle velocity of 371 meters per second when using special ammo takes some getting used to at distance. Base is 530 meters per second. Getting used to that low muzzle velocity on the FMJ and Dum Dum rounds may be worth it, however, as they provide surprisingly powerful benefits. Good evening, or good day, it all depends, and welcome back to the ImpossibleIronman channel. In this analysis, I'll be providing info mainly on the primary fire, as there's been a lot of content recently on shotgun comparisons, so I'm not going to rehash it here. I'm covering damage fall-off numbers, as well as how that changes between regular and special ammo, what you can expect from crouching accuracy, how to lead shots, and some loadout suggestions. Damage fall-off for the drilling standard ammo starts at 21 meters. Beginning at 25 meters, we're going to go in 25-meter increments to show just how those numbers change over distance. You may not be expecting this because I certainly wasn't, but damage fall-off for FMJ ammunition doesn't start until 40 meters, which was more than I expected. It almost doubles the distance at which you can get full damage on a torso shot. So, while bleed has similar fall-off numbers to standard ammo, and it did get that intense bleed buff for the drilling in the Springfield, give FMJ some consideration because it does more for consistency than I certainly thought anyway. The hipfire accuracy of the drilling definitely leaves something to be desired. If you're going to be doing anything at close range, try to use the shotgun mode, or if you absolutely have to, make sure you're crouching for that extra bit of accuracy. This section of the analysis will show you how to lead shots with the drilling from 50 to 125 meters in 25-meter increments, starting with standard ammo and then going into special ammo. Keep in mind with the special ammo that FMJ and Dum Dum will have the same amount of lead as they have the same muzzle velocity. If your preferred playstyle is medium to close range, I recommend playing the drilling the quote-unquote meta way with Dum Dum rounds and slugs. It's a powerhouse up close, and the immediate intense bleed from the Dum Dum rounds can apply a lot of pressure and help to secure your kills. If you like playing from medium to long range, I highly recommend the FMJ rounds, because as we talked about earlier, the damage fall-off doesn't start until 40 meters, making for very consistent damage on your shots. And the added penetration power, of course. As for the shotgun, while slugs are typically the superior choice regardless of playstyle, give flechette some consideration. Keep in mind they will not one-tap to the body up close, so it can be tricky if you're in a bind like this one in the background. That being said, if you can keep your distance, Flechette can really help to alleviate pressure on your position, giving you time to gain distance. Easily the best thing about the drilling is its versatility, and to be honest, you can pair it with basically any secondary weapon in the game and have the loadout function perfectly well. So what we're going to do here is discuss some loadouts that either complement the drilling especially well, or some unique choices that perhaps you haven't considered. The obvious first choice would be the upper mat. And what the upper mat has over some of its other pistol counterparts, if you will, is its flexibility, much like the drilling itself. It's almost like they were made in the same event or something. If you miss those first couple of shots in the drilling or don't do quite enough damage to finish off your target, the upper mat is a great secondary to quick swap over to help finish off your opponents at range. It'll also help you stack that all too important shotgun ammo, especially if you're rocking slugs. And the single barrel on the drilling can be kind of awkward, especially if you don't finish off your opponent. So this is a very nice option to have in your back pocket to help finish off people at close range as well as long range. Speaking of flexibility, one of my favorite options to take with the drilling is the hand crossbow, especially if I don't have quartermaster available to me at the time. I like taking half poison bolts and half dragon bolts, as they are basically two choices that will help keep your opponents out of cover, or at the very least it'll force movement. So when you hit those all too important dum-dum shots, trigger that bleeding when they go to try and stay out of your line of sight to stop the bleeding, the hand crossbow is a great way to pressure them. Poison's basically there in case you run into a rain map for your dragon bolts, and the dragon bolts help just in case you run into an opponent who is running an antidote shot and the poison clouds aren't doing anything to them. So that's why I like to split the two personally. And speaking of choices that will keep your opponents from being able to take cover, a rather unique choice is taking the bow, particularly with frag arrows. Again, similar concept to the hand crossbow. You tag them with the drilling, they go to take cover, and this will keep them from being able to use that cover effectively. Or, on the flip side, this can also be what you initiate with, and they hear the fuse, they're not really sure where it came from, buys you time to force movement, swap over to the drilling, finish off your target after the explosion goes off. Another rather interesting choice is taking some kind of melee tool, something like a machete or cavalry saber, combat axe, what have you, simply because the drilling helps you at so many ranges that you can simply use the stock against immolators, use your secondary melee tool against the majority of AI, and then that will free up your tool slots to take death traps as well as choke bombs if you're running teams, or maybe just all traps if you're running solo or you feel like memeing. So if you're the trapper type, especially if you like to kind of play at range, maybe if you're taking FMJ and Flechette instead of Dum Dum and Slugs or something along those lines, this can really help you play at a distance. And granted, it requires you to use mainly the drilling as your only firearm, but seeing as it works at so many ranges, most of the time you're not going to be using something else anyway, unless it serves some kind of unique purpose, like the previous options. Any questions? Feel free to ask away in the comments, or you can even ask me live, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at 8 p.m. MST, right here on the channel. That being said, I'm making a brief exception to that schedule from the week of October 4th through the 7th, due to the delay in the Tide of Corruption event for console players, as it simply doesn't make sense for me to stream the vanilla game while the majority of content creators will be streaming the event. But after that, we will resume our normal schedule. Beyond that, though, I really hope you enjoyed the data on the drilling. But until next time, good hunting in the bayou, everyone, and I will see you all on the next one.